Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. I am sorry that I have not been posting long form videos. I've been afraid to go inward. I've been in emotional fight or flight. I've been trying to get over a myriad of things that I'm gonna therapize myself a little bit in this video and also just talk about what has been on my mind in regards to growth and limitations and boundaries and expectations and goals and dating and friendships and all these things that I just turned 27. I also, you guys, my Saturn is returning early. Like mine is earlier than most people's. Most people's is like after 28 towards 30. Mine is like apparently in the next couple months, like before April. So I'm now wondering if all this friendship, dating things that I learned in the past year, like you saw, I was like kind of going through it, had something to do with the fact that my solar return is like tomorrow. So I'm hoping that means that like most of the pain has happened and now I just get like super wise or something. Is that how it's supposed to work? I'm just kidding. But you know, it did bring up a lot of things about rejection and not belonging and always feeling like this outsider looking in, because I grew up as like a mixed girl in a white community, white school in the early 2000s, and dance community, obviously very white. And so I definitely learned this sort of outsider gaze, and I'm now realizing, also my therapist, I've had 2 therapists now, and both of them have said that I'm really self-aware, and that like my therapist was like, I call people like you like a conscious person, and oftentimes you are coming in talking about the people in your life who are a lot less conscious than you. And she's saying the way you're talking about all these people, I can tell you're really self-aware. Do you know what it's like to have have 2 different therapists say, yeah, like these people suck and you're just really aware of it? Are you aware how that feels? It feels like, okay, well, yeah, I'm vindicated and validated, but like shit out of luck also, right? And so this phrase that has come into my brain lately that I try to remember and keep like as a pinned note at the top of my head is stop making it mean something about you. Stop making it mean something about you. Because what happens particularly, and this is not like only towards women of color in like white areas or who, you know, in the world, but I think particularly when you grow up as someone like that or you live as someone like that, whiteness likes to conquer and assume and push things onto you, right? Like white girls will make assumptions about what you're going through, that it's something that they've gone through and that they understand it top to bottom, because they'll never consider that there's something that you know or have been through that they couldn't understand or haven't been through themselves, because that takes self-awareness, right? I think whiteness is allowed to be a lot more ignorant and less self-aware. And I have formed this perspective and sort of personhood that has this tagline, I think now, and I've learned this in therapy recently. I not just see myself as like this outsider looking in, but I have this very fundamental viewpoint of I know more about you than you know about me. And I'm not sure if it's that I like it that way, but I expect it to be that. It's always been that. I'm used to that and I'm prepared for that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think this past year has thrown that in my face so many times, like, oh, you actually don't know me at all. And you're playing with silly putty in your hands that is like your own mucus. And you're trying to put it in my image and act like you did something. And so you have to stop making it mean something about you, because that had nothing the fuck to do with you. And the way when people treat you like ass, like a lot of times, sometimes you'll be treated in a way where you're like, I wouldn't treat my worst enemy like this, or I wouldn't treat like a non-friend like this because it's disrespectful. It's fundamentally lacking manners, etiquette, anything respectable. But also as a Pisces, my nature is to make that mean something about me, because at the same time, you want to live in a world where things make sense, and you want to make sense of it by being like, well, maybe I am the problem. Do you know what I'm saying? And I basically like keep asking my therapist in different ways, am I the problem? And she keeps saying no. And my brain is like, it likes to hear that, obviously, but part of it is not satisfied with the fact that these things can happen that may have nothing to do with you, but they affect you negatively, and it wasn't your fault. Like that sort of acceptance and that leaving space for that, holding space for that is, I guess, what I need to work on. And I do think that falls under the umbrella of stop making it mean something about you. But, you know, like, I forget how much I've disclosed about certain things that have happened, because more stuff has happened recently that, like, I put down money to stay at a hotel halfway across the world because I was still getting emails that I needed to book my stay immediately, or I wasn't going to have a stay for this event that I had been invited to and RSVP'd for. And I'm the kind of person that I don't RSVP if I don't mean it. I don't say I'm going to do anything that I'm not going to do. And if I were to rescind my RSVP, I would. Look at me in the eyes. Do I seem like the kind of person who fucks around with money, with travel, with bookings, with things, with communication? These people know who I am. You invited me. I didn't ask to be invited. I didn't ask to be in this friend group. The person who I think disrespected me the most, she used to run around saying, I forced Kira to be my friend. I forced Kira to be my friend. I'll ask her. I forced her to be my friend. And would I love to say, yeah, you know, I like stabbed her toe off and that's why she's treating me like this, or all these different people, because the girl who I'm still on the email list getting emails like you need to book this, you need to book tomorrow or you're not going to have a place to stay. That's whack. Stupid. Playing with people's money is nuts to me. That being said, you know, I get it. Like you're busy. What? At a certain point, I need to stand up and say, hey guys, I'm a human being. I deserve respect. I know you've built me up in your head to be, I don't know, big bad wolf, whatever. I would love for you to create a list of how I've personally villainized you in a way to deserve this. And that comes back to that coming out of me just now is me trying to make it about me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I would keep asking my therapist, like, I just don't get why. And she's like, I don't get why. It doesn't make any sense. She's like, these are not good people, Kira. Because there's so many other ways to, not just to do things or to show respect and to show care, and I've been very dismissed in the past year in a way that I have not been used to in previous years. And so I'm now obviously prepared for that. And I'm kind of just trying to organize my brain into how I can make how my approach can, I guess, vet people better or because part of it is like, as a Pisces, I'm so go with the flow that I'm like, oh yeah, if this person wants to be my friend super bad, they must be meant to be in my life. Boo, Kira, bad vetting, lazy. Because the thing is, like, when I look back to the first time I hung out with some of these people, I remember thinking, wow, she's talking a lot and she's not listening to me at all. I remember being like a little bit annoyed and being like, is this like her show low key? You know what I mean? But then you become tolerant of people that you get used to, and you are like, you know, there's things about this person that sometimes are a lot, but I know how to be a friend. And so it's give and take. But like, when I look back, I remember being like, oh, I don't know if we're going to be friends, like good friends. But she would run around telling everyone, I forced her to be my friend. Yeah. Tokenize the fuck out of me. Discarded of me that entire friend, and to involve me in things that I didn't need to be invited. You could have taken me off the list. You could have taken me off the email list. You could have checked in. Hey, are you still coming? Because those girls that I know, this girl who planned this event, I don't want to like go super whatever, because it's no beef. This is all in the interest of therapizing myself, okay? It's no beef. I'm just trying to explain to you how I've been mentally my brain has been organized around these events, trying to make sense of it and trying to make it mean something about me, and I'm trying to undo that. You understand? It's no beef, love and light to everyone involved, okay? Kiss, kiss. But I was quietly, I called it a soft uninvite. I think I was quietly uninvited to this event, even though I was still receiving emails. And I think she forgot to like take me off the email list, but also didn't have the courage to like talk to me about it, but also was like still follow me on Instagram, like, you know, every once in a while DMing or whatever. Like not a lot, but enough that I was like, oh, I think we're still cool. You know what I mean? And it's like, just people don't confront, specifically Canadians don't confront people in a way, like they're so afraid of confrontation that they're going to be actively negligent in a way that fucks you over, could fuck over your money, fuck over whatever you're doing, because they're afraid to like have an honest adult conversation. And then they always leave things too long until it's like, now it's not just what is going on, but it's also the time that you didn't tell me what was going on. Where I was, and now I just lose out. And I spent 3 days researching where I was going to stay. And I spent $900 putting down money to stay at this hotel because I was going to come celebrate you, and I'm a fucking idiot. I'm an idiot for that. I'm an idiot for thinking. And then I think my therapist was like, no, you're not an idiot. But given my upbringing, and all these girls are white, and they pulled me in, I did not ask to be invited, what do you think I'm going to think? Like, and this is what I'm saying. I'm like, that better be the Saturn return big one. As I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, is there going to be another one? Please no, please no. Because what a better way to say rejection from, and it's not like, I know that, you know, if a white person was watching me say this, they may think, oh, she thinks that she's rejected just because she's Black. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I understand that might be as shallow as the kiddie pool of the white understanding of what I'm saying might go, and may also be why these friends didn't understand me at all. Trying to make more room for myself to be misunderstood, so that I think that's like giving myself grace to be human, is the grace to be misunderstood, instead of, you know, especially growing up as a dancer, instead of finding a ways to make my misunderstandings understood and my complications ironed out to fit in with the whitewashing, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, obviously, when you are being, because the thing is also, I'm not like that hyped to be included in this group. That's why I'm like, you need to zoom out to like how you're really, why you're so affected by this, because it's not like you're like missing that energy. I'm not. And I've like made new friends and I feel more aligned. It's not about that. It's about the idea that I can think I deserve respect and think that it's respectful to operate in a certain realm of like communication, responsibility, etiquette. I don't want to say etiquette because it sounds pretentious. Like, I'm talking about just being a fucking nice human being who isn't cool to fuck people over because you don't want to have a conversation that you need to have when you do certain things. Like, you're sending out emails saying if you should book this and spend your money to come and celebrate what I have invited you to and you have RSVP'd to. And it is your responsibility. Because the thing is, it wasn't even the fact that like, I'm like, if she wants to quiet uninvite me, that's great. I don't understand why she couldn't do that months ago. I don't understand why she couldn't take me off the email list, but it wasn't a priority to make sure that Kira is respected. And I understand that that's like a general thing with these people, and that's fine. And again, that's me making it about me, right? See, I'm trying to, and I'm also gonna watch this back. Like, I'm therapizing myself right now. I need double therapy. Once with myself, once with my therapist. And if you hear a sound, it's my dog eating, because whenever I film, she likes to eat. So there does come a time when after, and I think, you know, when I zoom out again and look at me talking about this and how I felt about this and all these energies, I think me being such a talkative person, like not just in content, but feeling the need to document my narrative inside of the story, is born from feeling this feeling of silencing and of not being given the chance to say my side of the story. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it literally reminds me of that last episode, like not congruently, but it does kind of remind me of Rick in the last episode of White Lotus when he's talking about the venomous snakes, and Chelsea's like, you can't just let out the venomous snakes. Like, they're venomous, Rick. They need to be contained. And he's like, even evil things shouldn't be treated like shit. It's just gonna make them more evil. You know? And it's like, I don't want to say, I don't feel evil. That's not what I mean. But there is something about, like, the more you treat someone like you don't care what their perspective is, which I think maybe I, like, to some degree felt my whole life, or like I felt like I had these opinions and I was getting spoken over in ways that were ignorant and sometimes microaggressive, but even when they're not, if you're the only Black person in a white environment, it's automatically it's inherently, you are inherently already othered, and for that not to be nurtured and taken care of, and then for me to not be able to say that makes me need to scream it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, the more I feel that sort of disdain for, like, oh, Kira's the big bad wolf and doesn't deserve our grace for this, that, and the other reason, and like, we're not gonna actually. The only time there was a in-person conversation was when I was completely ambushed and like it was a 2-on-1, and you know, and I wasn't ready for it. But if I had ever known where these people stood before I went and talked to them, I don't think they would ever allow me to do that. Because like, I just feel this whole time, it's like the validity of my side of the story has been denied, and the validity of like having a real conversation with me about how I feel about things, or my feelings in general, I guess, has felt denied. And I think I've felt that throughout my life a few times, that like bubbles up in this way that I become this like super outspoken person. But in my real life, like, I find specifically in Canada, and this is what I'm saying in Canada, because when I was in the States, like when there was issues with girls, they would text you right away and you would get it off. You would just figure it out. Like, it didn't simmer this way, and it didn't back into this like lack of talking and whatever. You know, it's not to beat a dead horse, but it's to examine that, like, I think I have this sort of chip on my shoulder about why will no one face me? You know, why will no one tell me what's going on before 2 months after the fact, when they finally have created 700 assumptions based on their life story to Lego together a story that makes sense, even though honestly a lot of what I'd been going through was already on the internet, but you're not paying enough attention to it. That's the other thing too, is I think I'm realizing like people really are not paying attention, and it's a weird thing to have to say, like, oh, I'm just like a really attentive person and I'm like extra observant and extra self-aware. Like, it feels sort of annoying to say that, you know, in the same way it feels to say, to accept like, oh, she's just jealous of you, or oh, this just happened because so-and-so is jealous of you. It doesn't, for someone like me, it doesn't feel good to say those things. It doesn't satisfy me, and because it feels like low-hanging fruit, and it feels like, it's just airy to me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not satisfying. But I think it's like to feel so judged without feeling actually seen at all. And to be like, wait, do you even know this about me? Do you even know that about me? How many times have you been to my house? Versus how many times have I been to your house? How many times have I heard you talk about this one thing and really listened and really asked you questions about it? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I became comfortable in that space of, yeah, I know more about you than you know about me, and I'm used to that, and I expect that. And I think the opposite, though, or the negative effects of that, is that I think I've built up this wall, particularly right now, where I'm very skeptical of everyone and skeptical of their intentions, especially when, like, you know, just when I really look at the timeline of it, I feel a little bit icky about some of the things that were said about, like, oh, whenever I post you on my story, somebody from my hometown DMs me and says, oh my gosh, I follow her on TikTok. Like, that's so cool. You're friends with her. Things like that getting brought up multiple times, but then to not been cared about when I was going through a hard time. And then all these assumptions and judgments and things that were really gross and icky, and just to, like, completely discard this person that you got to benefit from saying, oh yeah, well, I'm friend. Not that it's like that big, like, I'm not that, like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, whatever. I don't think I'm that big of a deal, to be clear. I don't. But when somebody says that to you multiple times, you're like, it feels like you are getting something from this. And then as soon as I was the one who had it, because I'm so used to, again, making space for everybody else's emotions and everybody else to be the one in pain and everybody else to be the one hurting. And I like to absorb, like, listen and absorb what people are saying and really listen and really be there for them in their moment, in their reality. I'm very interested in other people's reality. And it felt like when it was time for somebody to maybe ask a question about my reality, there were no questions. There were only perceived judgments and conclusions without even talking to me. The talker, the explainer, the articulator. You want to know what I'm going through? Ask me. Ask me. But there was no care to ask. And I can't help but feel a little bit bittered. Bittered meaning I feel hardened. Honestly, I do feel a little bit, my heart has hardened in regards to connection, Violet, with friends. I'm not sure if it's all people. I'm not sure if it's all women. I'm not sure if it's all white women. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to crystallize. But I know I have an extra wariness now of, like, okay, just because these people, like, pull you in and act like they really want you to be your friend and are going to say all these things about how much they cherish you and respect you, doesn't mean that that's actually the truth, and doesn't mean that they actually have vested interest in your well-being if it transcends, I guess I don't know. I don't think it's that hard to be a compassionate person. And so when I find that people are having a hard time showing me a tiny morsel of compassion, I start to make it mean something about me. And that made me depressed for a long time. And I'm not, like, not depressed, but it's not, like, necessarily because of that. Like, life is just lifing. And I think everyone is feeling that. But, and again, like, it's, you know, I still have friends that are white women. I have friends who are Black women. I have friends who are women of color. I'm not trying to make this, like, all about that, but I do think that a lot of the feelings of rejection that arose reminded me of being the only Black girl in a white class. And you can't not connect those dots when you have my lived experience. And then it's just like the rejection button just felt so heavy-handed in my 27 years. Do you know what I'm saying? For ways that I think, even as a little girl, I was confused. I was like, am I not good enough? Like, I don't get it. Like, I think I'm smart. I think I'm funny. I think I'm talented. I think I'm cool. I don't think I'm mean. I don't think I've done anything to deserve this sort of dismissal after years of friendship from somebody who boasts from the mountaintops that they know me. But, like, shit doesn't make sense. That's life. People suck sometimes. And so the task is not making that your problem. How do you do that? How are you meant to do that? thoughts and comments below, because like, what the, you know? I think it's harder for me to feel okay really being vulnerable and opening up in this moment. I definitely feel like I've been judged lately for my emotions. I don't know. And I'm also starting to accept the idea. I'm like, am I just like meant to be more of a loner, or like alone often so I can deal with my feelings as a Pisces? Even though I'm actually not. Like, I go out. Like I said, I've made new friends and I'm like not missing that energy, because looking back, it doesn't feel authentic to me. And I feel like I was really like, I had my guard up a lot. But it's just like, even these days, I'm just very wary of people's judgments. And I also have like some dating judgment baggage. I think I felt very judged in my relationships and in my dating life since I got back to Canada, particularly, and it's still affecting me. And so I'm just like having this, I need to have a judgment detox, because I just feel like everybody's a lot more judgmental than they can stand up to. Like, I don't think they can stand up to the kind of criticism and scrutiny that they're implementing on other people. But I'm not a judger, so it's like, it's not my nature to do those things. And it's just annoying. Like, people are a lot more closed-minded here than you might think sometimes, or like, people are a lot more closed-minded about just being a good listener and opening up to other people's reality. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think I just started to get a little bit of fatigue of like the closed-mindedness, the judgment, the assumptions, the assumption that the way that they've perceived you or like a situation is paramount when they have not had the balls to ask you what's even going on. I don't know. I feel like I'm just talking in circles at this point. I don't know, you guys. I need advice. Give me advice. What is your advice? To make things not mean anything about you, not take anything personally, to just move on and understand that sometimes people can only meet themselves where they're at, and that is just, that can be shitty behavior. You know? La-di-da-di-da. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for listening. I'm trying to get more vulnerable, open back up into myself, and stop being afraid of my own depth. But I also need to make space for the fact that apparently people's disrespect is also bottomless, and not in the fun mimosa way. So, yep. Live, laugh, love. Comment down below any advice you have. Send this to a friend who is going through something similar. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.